the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Prison City Podcast. I'm your official host, Patrick W. Cutler, and we got a banging show here for you tonight. We are coming right down the pipe into the holiday season here. A lot of big stuff happening with the Christmas season this year. Going to talk a lot of COVID tonight. I know Mahomes really wants to talk that, but no, we're going to talk. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about some things with the Bible and Jesus Christ and things of that nature. Totally switching gears here as we come into the Christmas season. Some things to discuss there. Also, I wanted to do an episode just for ratings since the Cordell Stewart stolen jersey episode just it's not doing good stat wise. Not a lot of people apparently are interested in a Cordell Stewart stolen jersey as much as I am, but that'll always be something we revisit. It's probably ranking up there with the Mark Anthony Reigns episode. That's how poorly. Mark, if you're listening, we love you, man. Hope you come back on the podcast soon. Anyways, tonight's gonna be a lot of fun. We got Home Alone, first ever Home Alone play we're doing. It's on our theater stage here, downtown Deer Lodge Cutler Brothers Theater. We are taking, for the first time ever, putting the film Home Alone on stage, and the rehearsals have been nuts. We did a 6-hour rehearsal on Sunday, and tonight we just did a 4-hour rehearsal, just doing part of the second act. So it's a crazy show. Home Alone opens this Thursday at Cutler Brothers Theater. It's going to be a lot of fun. First time ever on stage. And let's just kick it around the horn here. Kelly, how's the play and everything going so far, do you think?
It's great. Like, I'm super excited for it to open. I don't know. I mean, I guess I know why. It's a complicated show. I think Mahoney mentioned a couple episodes ago on the podcast, how you're going to do all the traps and stuff at the end, which is germane to Home Alone. But tonight we rehearsed the last, I want to say 20 minutes, maybe not even that, maybe 15 minutes of the show. And that took us the first 2 fucking hours. And then we ran act 2, and that took us up until basically now. So it's insane. The rehearsals are definitely going down in history for some of the longest. And I'm surprised that more people haven't quit or aren't pissed off or something. Everyone seems to be in pretty good holiday spirits.
Yeah, it's been going really good so far. And the cast for this play, I mean, you can have one bad apple to cast. The cast for this play is actually really, really, really good. I think that's an underlining factor that a lot of people don't realize. Sometimes it gets negative out there with different directors and things, stage managers, you might say. No. But the cast is really good. None of them gotten drunk so far, and that's great. The kids. No, but no, we have a really good cast. It's been a really good show opening Thursday night. All right, and I'm going to round it over to Matt.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Like you said, no one's gotten drunk yet. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I guess I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. But yeah, should be a fun show. Opens up in less than 2 days, which is kind of insane. I was saying that to guys, like, holy cow, this shit actually opens up in 2 days. And Mahoney, if you would have saw like the rehearsal at night, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Nah, it actually wasn't that bad. We'll be fine.
And Matt's sporting the It's a Wonderful Life poster there in the background, which is at Cutler Brothers Theater. What we're looking at now, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2018.
Yeah, 3 years ago. That's pretty crazy. So we're going to cut live to Nebraska here. And what do you think about all of this, Mahomes?
Man, if I wasn't so far away, I'd come and watch it. It sounds like it's going to be a 5.5 hour show, 3 intermissions. I think the fans are going to love that. It was just after, basically, this is obviously I'm joking, but like, imagine to make it 5.5 hours after like every stunt, you guys would have to stop, clean the stage, set up a new gag, run it.
That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much how we do it.
there is one point where they really clean the stage off, but it's pretty quick. It has to be pretty quick, but it looked pretty good tonight. You just thought figuring it all out and everything.
I dictated this basically right off the movie, man. So a normal person that was dictating it to the stage would like make it just all in the McAllister's living room or something. That's what I wanted to do. But I was like, fuck, man, Home Alone's so fucking good. And people know it's so fucking good that you can't cut anything out. And that's why I told the cast, you can't mess up your lines. Like, everyone knows these lines, But it's going to be phenomenal, man. Tonight gave me hope, and Matt's right. It's stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. But I think we had to do that to get to this point. So,
well, I'm excited, and I hope Mark Anthony makes the trip over. And wouldn't it be the thing that's the guy that finds the Cordell Stewart jersey after all this time?
The missing Cordell Stewart. Man, if anything that happens over this Christmas break, that thing's gonna show up out of nowhere. I guarantee it.
Actually, Pat, I was like, how do I give that to Pat for Christmas? But I have no clue where to start.
Because you could take a jersey and try to fade off the T or whatever, but I'm going to know if it's it or not.
Just say you have an address in Pennsylvania and you have Scotland. You can try there, one of the two.
And I have Scott Cook as a resource.
Oh man, we are full circle after like 5 minutes in.
Dude, I have actually based on what your suggestion last week, I've actually started writing the Cordell Stewart short film. And we're gonna film that. We won't film it until January, but it's gonna happen. And God, I remember so much from that story. It gets beyond ridiculous. The funniest thing is it's all true. Well, most of it. Well, yeah, all of it is actually. Can you save
me a role for like when they do like interviews of people in a documentary? I'd like to have a role in that sometime at JB's, in like a dimly lit room. I'd like that quite a bit. I think because we could do, they do investigations and they do like Zoom interviews on like investigations. We could do something like that where you could just be there dimly lit on a Zoom call and just be like talking about it or whatever. Be hilarious. All in. I'm all in.
Then it would look even more real.
Hey, for sure. I like how you just said how terrible the Cordell Stewart episode did. Now that's what we're going to talk about for the next hour.
That's my fault. I brought it up.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a never-ending trap. That story can go on forever, probably. Actually,
yeah. Pat, I don't remember that story. Can you like fill us in on what happened there? It's just deja vu.
I was, you sit down and you write something, more details come back. I didn't even fill in the details about how I dressed up as a fucking spoon for Beauty and the Beast for high school play.
It all started when I was walking through the high school halls. I was in college. My girlfriend was in high school.
Oh,
God. Yeah,
man, really... So have you guys officially found out if you're the first ever like Home Alone stage adaptation? You have to be. Most people would be crazy to try this on stage, so you have to be.
Well, there's no script. There's no official published script. And actually, I had someone from another theater company reach out and say, "Hey, are you going to publish this script so that other theater companies can do it?" I was like, I didn't even think about that, because it is insane. Like what we are doing with that show is insane. Like it's not a theater show that you can just throw to like any small town community theater and, hey, yeah, no, this is the script, do it. They'd look at it and go, there's no fucking way, it's too complicated. So anyways, long story short, I would just Google it and see, because I don't think so, man. I really don't think there's been another stage version.
Well, let me do it. Would you say I'll talk like all the people who like look at movies and the movie critics. Is this the most ambitious project you've ever had?
I don't think it is either. I just think it's I think we can do anything on our stage that if we all like, someone has a dream, someone has a passion, and we all jump on board with that. I think we can literally do anything. Like nothing scares us. And I mean, a 6-hour rehearsal on Sunday, man, you've been involved with theater. 6 hours is a long fucking day.
That's essentially a full day's work that you're not getting paid for. You know what I mean? Like, that's a long ass day.
Yeah. I mean, that's 2:00 in the afternoon. You show up for a Sunday rehearsal, as we're all used to, and then we're saying goodbye to you at 8:00 at night.
That's insane.
No dinner break.
Yeah, I like missed all of the Steelers games except for a couple plays there at the end. I kind of jumped on my phone and watched.
Pat, I might be breaking a couple child labor laws with this show.
It's like, why in the fuck did that take so long?
Yeah.
Well, you were there. I mean, it's complicated. It's just a lot of. We're not fucking around either. It's like we're not. I really don't think we're wasting time. I think there's just so much to figure out.
I don't know. As I say, it's just like the road construction. Going from Deer Lodge to Butte never stops, but they're always stopping along the way.
No, I like that. I like how the parents just they just don't give a shit at all. But I'll say this: once you become a parent, you'll understand why.
Yeah, the parents were probably thrilled. Like, if you guys need another 6 hours, right after that, we're fine.
I came home and Marissa had her ex, I don't know, Tanner's cousin. It's a baby, and it cried the whole fucking time. And I just walked upstairs and I was like, we better rethink this having a kid thing.
Yeah.
She's 10 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, not too late, is it?
Not in America. And that leads us into abortion, folks.
Let's not.
Let's get into the abortion.
So I did some Googling, and the only thing I found, and this is like a deep dive, is there was a thing in 2017 in LA called the Unauthorized Musical Parody of Home Alone. And that's the only thing I can find at all anywhere.
Oh, okay. That's a company that does a lot of the movies. Actually, they're called the Unauthorized Company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
So you guys, you're going to be the first non-musical one for sure.
They did Back to the Future too, right, Mahoney?
I'm stuck. I just got looking at Home Alone, so yeah, I'm sure they seem to be like you said, they have a pretty good website. It looks like they're a pretty big theater company.
Can you imagine if they took this script, and it actually, we did publish it, which we probably should, and people started doing it, theater companies started doing it. They're always going to have that page in the script, the official first cast that ever did the show. You know how they always do that? Yeah. They're going to have the cast in Deer Lodge, played these parts in the first ever Home Alone.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. We should pursue that publishing thing. I don't think it would take too much, honestly.
And then you guys should recast yourselves as the leads so people know it was you the whole time.
Yeah, that's what you should do. I'm playing Kevin.
I know. That's the other thing is I would be the only person on that playbill.
Yeah, the only Cutler.
Yeah.
Mike Freeze would be in there.
Yeah. So anyways, talking about ambitious projects, as he spoke earlier today, I want to talk about this week I had a sign from God or Satan, not sure which one. And that was to get back to where everything started for us during COVID-19. And that was the Jesus Christ Superstar 2020. This is a production we started back in 2020. The backstory to start it out is we were going to do Jesus Christ Superstar on the stage before COVID hit and everything. I was in Alaska. I was on a fly down from Alaska, being at the last second and all those things. And what happened was Big Kelly and them, they're all in the middle of rehearsals. They're rehearsing every day or whatever. I come down during my spring break and I'm just going to rehearsals and stuff, just hanging out because I don't know what's going to happen because COVID starts hitting or whatever. And basically the play itself got shut down or whatever. But we decided during Montana's COVID lockdowns or whatever you want to call that. And basically we decided to go out in this farm outside of the small town, Montana, and film a digital version of Jesus Christ Superstar. It was shot in 2020. It was just crazy. We had to go through to do that. And it's been 2 years. These things are so much harder to finish when it comes to editing and everything than you ever imagined, syncing up voices and all these things for a 2-hour production. And now here we are 2 years later, and I announced it over on social media. We're going to finally finish it these next 3 months. It's going to premiere Easter weekend in Deer Lodge at the Rialto Theater. And Kelly, what do you have to say about what we went through and everything for this?
I'm just excited for it. Yeah. After rehearsal one night, Pat, Home Alone rehearsal, Pat said, "You know what? We got to go back to the start and finish Jesus Christ Superstar." And I was like, yeah, we probably should. And then 10 minutes later, I saw on Facebook that it was premiering at the Rialto over Easter weekend. I was like, okay, all right. 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. Okay. But with that said, I understand where Pat's coming from. You set these things up and you announce it. That's how kind of how we do our theater season. You know, we just get an itch and it's like, no, just do it. Once you throw it out there, fuck off. Sorry,
he's talking to a cat, by the way.
Once you throw it out there and say you're going to do it, it's set in stone. And I mean, we are men of our words, you know, despite the conversation I had at a bar earlier today, which I'll fill you guys in on. We are men of our words. We, if we say we're going to do something, we do it. So anyways, Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm excited. I'm glad Pat said that because now it just gives us a benchmark, and it really like we're on pace. Like we did a lot of work on that show, and there's not that much left. It's not an unachievable goal.
It's just the fine tuning and editing and linking up vocal singing to video footage and getting the video, everything. We've done a lot on it, but there's still on the editing side of things, making it look as good as it possibly can, and not just kind of slap together. There's quite a bit that it's like anything. Like we've been balancing this horror film and this film, and it's like when you kind of balancing in between both films, it's kind of hard to focus on one thing. So it's like if we focus down on Jesus Christ Superstar 2020, just focus on it for a couple months, mainly like just getting the audio, the meat, like really editing it and stuff, we can get this thing completed. What do you think, Matt?
I think you got a good goal, getting it done by Easter this year. So I think that would be pretty epic.
Yeah,
but yeah, just going back to that time in Deer Lodge was weird, and we're all practicing. I think it was Pride and Prejudice, having a read through or whatever. Then, you know, when COVID hit or whatever, even it's affected this small town where it's like you had cops coming into the theater saying, "Yeah, this sucks, but we got to shut you down," basically handing you paperwork, and we're just like, oh shit, well, okay, let's go do this. So I'm really excited to see the final product.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go kind of walk through Jesus. I'm gonna walk through the backstory of this here. But before I'm gonna get Mahone's thoughts on this.
I think it's awesome, man. I think it's really cool. You guys could potentially have 2 movies premiering in a matter of weeks from each other if everything works out for the other one. So I think that's awesome. I remember when we premiered our movie at the Rialto. That was a lot of fun. That was the first time my wife had ever seen any like movies. She'd seen a number of like live show stuff I was in. So that was pretty cool, having the whole family come out to that. It's an event and a lot of work goes into it. I wonder, do you have to like get permission from anyone to like premiere this movie?
No,
it is like a pre-done thing.
Yeah, I looked into it, and basically all we gotta do is say it's the unauthorized version.
Just like those people.
So Mahoney, didn't the Rialto light on fire shortly after that premiere of that movie?
Well,
2 weeks.
What had happened is the people in town knew that they'd never see another movie better, and so they just set it on fire.
We showed the movie Going Nowhere, our first original full-length feature film that was completed, and it was at the Rialto Theater in downtown Deer Lodge. And then 2 weeks later, the Rialto caught fire, burnt down, and they were going to show that weekend. They're going to show the Kevin Costner ship movie called The Guardian. And let's just say there wasn't quite a Guardian for the Rialto that day.
I mean, they really should have the first movie that should have played should have been Going Nowhere when they rebuilt that thing, if we're being honest with each other.
Yeah. That's funny because Josh Pentland, who plays Harry in Home Alone, he was like, "Hey, Kelly, I noticed that there's a fireplace going in the box office. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, Pat's going over. We're gonna do the podcast." I was, "Oh, okay. I just want to make sure it doesn't burn down or anything like after the Rialto." It's like, Josh, I hope it burns down. Do you see the Rialto now? That could be this place.
And any insurance people listening, that is a joke. That's not going to be a thing to look into. It's more what we call tongue in cheek.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll just say, getting into the back end of Jesus Christ Superstar. the story of how we created it is the most interesting story, because I mean, you talk about Jesus Christ, the whole story, the Passion of Christ and everything, and going against social norms and everything else, and everything he went through to put his beliefs on the line and ultimately find it with death. Then you talk about just COVID times where they're just literally ruining people's lives and shutting down businesses and all these things. And basically it was complete insanity in Montana, because there's literally, we're talking about 0 new cases a day, and Montana had a full scale New York City type lockdown. And basically we had to sneak out and film this out of town, hoping that the police wouldn't arrest us or anything like that. That's how insane it was. Because like Mal was talking about, the police had already stopped by the theater a couple of times, and kind of, they weren't like threatening, but they were kind of like, what are you doing? I was like, we're just rehearsing. They're like, you better be following the rules and everything. And then the police ended up putting fucking signs on our theater, basically saying that it's a closed business and shit, and we couldn't be in operation. It was fucking insanity. Right, Kelly?
Yeah, it was. And I feel like now that I don't want to say gotten away from it, but I feel like people are starting to stand up more and say, nah, fuck you. Like, we're done with this shit. We play by your rules. Now we're done. You know, we've mentioned that several times on this podcast. But it's just weird to think about that, looking back in retrospect, that we had to go out to this farm. And I remember feeling like nervous and shit, like, man, are the fucking cops going to come out here and like arrest us? Like, I remember feeling that way when we were filming this movie. And what an ironic movie to film during COVID that we didn't even plan. Like, I mean, we planned to do like Jesus Christ Superstar on the Rialto stage, but what a random ass show to do when all of this shit came down, because it's kind of about, you know, stuff like this in a weird way, you know?
Yeah, well, isn't that like the same thing where the cars would be driving by the highway, and I felt it too, is like, shoot, they're gonna see all these cars out here on this farm and be like, okay, I'm gonna report these guys for getting together. That's just kind of like how far the fear stretched, I guess, you know, to fucking rule whatever the fuck it's called, Montana.
Well, it's one thing if you it makes some threats or whatever, or have the laws, and people, like, you can argue this, and Mahomes, you could probably chime in on this too, like, or are they really actually enforcing those laws or not? Well, like, when the cops come to your building several times and close down your thing and put signs on it, yeah, it looks like they're pretty much enforcing this whole thing, and that we can get in trouble by the actual law if we continue on. What do you think of this, Mahomes, so far?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we all had it like different experiences, because I obviously wasn't in Deer Lodge at the time, so I didn't have like that. Where I was at, it was like stuff was still open, you know, like every, you know, you could still go to Walmart or the grocery store, but you couldn't like go out to eat, right? So that stuff was, it didn't like, where it affected me most is I couldn't like go into work and all that sort of stuff, which is, I'm a super big routine person. But I never had any sort of that experience that you guys did, where I felt like I was, if I was going somewhere, I was nervous about it, or I was worried that like the Johnny Law was going to be coming to mess with me if I was doing something. So I guess I'm thankful for that. Like, there's a whole lot of shit that I'm not thankful for about this whole experience. But the fact that I never had to feel like someone was going to come tell me or like give me a ticket or some shit for that I never had to deal with that.
And people started actually reporting us, because Kelly would get contacts from the health lady or whatever. Like, people started fucking even reporting us, saying that we were at the theater doing stuff, which we technically weren't. It was fucking crazy. Remember that, Kelly?
Yeah. I mean, just talking about this, looking back, this is just, you know, a year or two ago. It's just so fucking like surreal. Like, that didn't even happen, because at the time you're like, okay, this virus is going around, pandemic. Nobody knows anything about it. Let's play by the rules. Let's do the best we can. But then now looking back, it's like, that was such a weird fucking time in our life's history. And I hope it's over. We got to make sure it's over, because that was scary. I mean, and again, I don't want to compare it to Nazi Germany. I'm just saying Nazi Germany because that's, everyone can relate to the story. You know, everyone knows about the Holocaust and everything. But when you were being forced into things and being put into places that you don't want to be and you're not comfortable and you don't feel your freedom and stuff. And this didn't go on for 2 weeks. This went on for a long, long time. It's still going on, you know. I think the reason it's backing off is because people are saying, no, fuck you. Nobody cares about the Omicron variant. Nobody cares about these new variants coming out because we're all fucking done with it. And that shows when you say, no, fuck you, I am done. It shows that they back off because they have. And that the health lady that Pat's talking about, she backed off because eventually, you know, when our fear subsided, we just said, nah, we're just gonna do it. We don't need to email you. We don't need to ask. We don't need to ask permission to be free. She backed the fuck off, you know, and she's still the health lady. I haven't heard from her in a year and a half.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, I like to add on though to Mahomes kind of alliterating. Like I think you know, everybody has a different perspective on what happened to them individually during this COVID thing, because a lot of people, quietly, I don't think a lot of people really gave a fuck because if you're not a business owner or anything, a lot of people just basically got permission to go home and work from home and still get paid no matter what. You know, when you hear though, you know, other side of stories or our end of the perspective of the story where, man, we're being fucking stalked in small town Montana, stalked by the police, the health department, trying to just run any kind of semblance of a business or anything, we're going to be arrested for going on private property and filming a digital production of Jesus Christ Superstar. One day, Kelly was even out there. He had legal documents with him, the Montana Constitution, stuff like that, to say, okay, they can't technically arrest us on private property filming it. It's just insanity. So I think the story behind this thing is crazy, you know, how crazy things got. And it relates so much to the movie itself.
Do you think, because remember when it first came out for a long time, no one called it COVID-19. It was the coronavirus. Do you think the fine folks at the Corona Brewing Company were like, hey, can we stop? How about we donate a couple $1 million and you guys call it COVID-19? How's that sound?
That's a funny point, but I don't doubt that probably happened at some extent, to tell you the truth, because like it is kind of weird how they did switch the lingo quite a bit.
And it was a pretty big about face because it was the coronavirus I remember that really distinctly because I jokingly, one of the people that I worked with, they had lost a sale. I'm in sales, and they had lost a sale to the coronavirus. So I jokingly, because it was early, I jokingly bought them a Corona, you know, thinking like, we'll be back, you know, everyone will bounce back. And then unfortunately, that person ended up losing their job, like basically 85% of the people that I worked with. So turns out that wasn't that funny of a joke, but yeah, I just remember distinctly it was never COVID-19, and then all of a sudden that's all it was, and no one ever called it Corona anymore.
Right. I want to say one thing about businesses being shut down. I'm not going to lie on this podcast or anything. Prison Pizza during the coronavirus and all that year, 2020, it was the best year we ever had with our business. But the point of the matter is that was our business, delivering pizzas, carry out. You know what I mean? They allowed what we did. But these businesses that got fucked by it, well, they tried to fuck Cutler Brothers, you know. We were 100% a business that they said couldn't be operational and everything. The true heroes of this shit aren't here in Montana. Like we went through a lot with what we did with Jesus Christ Superstar and everything else, Romeo and Juliet. It was crazy. We're in Deer Lodge, Montana. I can't even imagine the courage it would take, like in New Jersey or New York or Seattle. Some of these guys just said, I'm not shutting down my bar. Eat a bag of dicks, you know. This barber shop in New Jersey suing, and they won against the state. You know, now they probably shut down their shop and retired for the rest of their lives. But the point of the matter is that takes a lot of fucking courage. And if it was scary here in Deer Lodge, Montana, I can't imagine California.
Yeah.
God, can't imagine.
And I would say just to clarify, it was about a month or so in where we actually met. There's this meeting at this place called Elk Tips where some of the police were there, and that was about a month or so in where the police formed, you know, throughout the state, the sheriffs throughout the state of Montana basically came out and said, we're not going to enforce this. Here's a legal process. If someone really wants to file a dispute against a business thing. So the police, a month after that, it all happened. At the time, the police had no idea what was going on. I think they were very confused, and it just got really freaking weird the way that they had tried to enforce it early on without knowing anything. It felt like it was fucking Nazi Germany. But
yeah, going on the whole entertainment thing, not only did it fuck over the theater arts, I mean, granted, I just went to a show at Broadway and they just started doing shows early November. That's how long it took them to get back on their feet or whatever. But one thing that I want to bring up is movie theaters. You know, now it's like when a new movie comes out, you can stream it on Peacock, you can stream it on HBO Max or whatever, or you can go to a fucking theater. And I always thought, like, okay, well, that's wrong. You know, you should, you know, make people go to a fucking theater. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah.
I feel like they're getting back to that now. I mean, just small examples is my daughter really likes going to movies now because thank the Lord I love going to movies and my wife doesn't. So I have someone to go with, even though it's all kids shit. But like all of the last like 3 we've gone to are only in theaters. But it's like this weird, like the first one of the 3 we went to was only in theaters, and then like a week later it was also on like Disney Plus or something. But these last 2 are only in theaters, and like probably it'll be like the old school way where DVD won't come out until, you know, whatever the next holiday is, Easter or something.
It's interesting as fuck because I think Kelly and Matt went and saw Halloween in theaters, and I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna pay $10 for a month of Peacock and watch it for free. Or I mean, not for free, but $10, you know.
we got the version on Peacock the day it came out too. I knew nothing about it. Marissa's like, oh yeah, I can get it on Peacock, so we don't have to go to the theater. I was like, well, fuck, I like going to the theater, you know. So we started watching it. We were kind of distracted, and you're on your phone and all this shit. And I was like, you know, halfway through, I was like, just shut this shit off. Let's go watch it in a movie theater. Like there's still something about that, you know. There's still something about going to the cinema.
And that's why, but come Easter weekend in April, Mahomes, you can watch Jesus Christ Super 2020 at the Rialto Theater, or it'll be streaming on Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock. I agree.
I was going to say, have you guys found a distributor yet? Are we doing Peacock? We doing YouTube Plus or whatever they got going on?
Since NBC did the John Legend version that really inspired me to get into Jesus Christ Superstar, this probably will have a deal with Peacock by April.
And if not that, you could do Tubi. I think Tubi's pretty much taking anything right now. TUBI, if you're not familiar.
Yeah. You know, this is all talking about the metaverse and stuff that we have the last few weeks. This all seems like, and I don't know if it's COVID or what, but it seems like they're trying to speed up what is going to happen or what they want to happen. But I feel like they're having a lot of glitches now because of the conversation we're having right now. Like, I like going to cinemas. I like going out to eat. I like seeing my friends. And maybe it's our generation. I really hope this younger generation really, like, their dream isn't to fucking wear an Oculus Quest the rest of their life. That just seems so shitty, you know?
It does, but I got to tell you, our resident conspiracy theorist gave it like the most glowing review you possibly could give.
They say, Mahoney, this Jesus Christ Superstar coming up, it's actually in the metaverse, so you get to experience the last couple of days of Christ.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
I'm not saying that stuff is not cool or whatever, but doesn't it seem like they're trying to speed up something? Like they're trying to push all these agendas and narratives, and it's like, just back the fuck off. Like I'm okay living my life how I did in high school and how I did 10 years ago, and right now I'm okay living that way the rest of my life. Like, I don't really need massive changes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it a while, and I can't really pinpoint an exact time, but it's been a couple months where I've really just kind of unplugged, like purposely from, like I said, if I see one thing about COVID or one like hateful fucking post on Facebook, I close Facebook for the day, you know? And so like all that stuff, and I'm super unplugged from the news unless it's like weather or there's something like interesting going on in my hometown, or if there's some new policy that I don't, you know, like that's the stuff I care about voting on. Right. So for me, I can't really say if it has or hasn't. I think if the technology was closer, like, because I mean, Pat, you can speak to this better than me, but like, I'm sure that there's like cool stuff on there, but it's not like, you don't feel like you're in it yet, right? Like the technology's not quite there yet.
It's not
so
quite,
if it was, I bet they'd push it a lot harder.
It's not quite there, but there's definitely ones where it feels way different. I think after you use it for a little while, you kind of adjust to it. And the biggest thing I would say is like, man, I can only go about a half an hour, maybe max. And then after like a half an hour, I kind of just get a little loopy or whatever. So I can't even really go that long.
That's my thing. You should want to, it should be like a video game or whatever. You know, we go play Madden or something. You should want to eventually step away and go, okay, back to real life. Real life should always be better than whatever the thing is. But again, maybe I'm just fighting technology here. But it's like, I don't want to live my fucking life in an Oculus Quest, even though we might already be doing that right now.
Yeah, 100%. So I wanted to go into, speaking of what dimension we're currently living in, I wanted to go into some of a spin-off from this Jesus Christ Superstar 2020 story. Check it out on Peacock. Once again, folks, it'll be on Peacock and this Easter coming up. Yeah, it'll happen that fast. NBC will pick it up for sure. Yeah, I wanted to kind of go into I want to talk about the Bible, kind of Jesus, some quotes here from the Bible about Jesus Christ and COVID-19 and how that kind of getting together with churches and things of that nature, and some things, other stuff. Comes the topic of Jesus. Uncle Tony comes over like once every couple months, and he always has a new theory on Jesus. I always find this shit interesting. Before we get into this, I'm going to say this is not like, I'm not a biblical scholar here. I did not do a thesis on this. This is just me pulling shit off the internet. But
Pat, tread, well, go into your stuff if you want, but I got to take a leak, so maybe tread water for a second.
All right. I'll just tread some water here. What I want to say is, when it comes to COVID-19, you think there's like a lot of religious people that are like anti-vaxxers or whatever, and all these different things, and they use like the Bible and stuff. I'm going to reveal some Bible quotes about the government and things of that nature in this podcast that would actually kind of surprise you. It's really kind of interesting stuff to think about. It's not all, so it's like, there actually isn't really a scripture verse that says you shouldn't get vaccinated, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because they didn't have that science or technology back then. And if they did, they'd probably think holy cow, this is a miracle. Everyone do this. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
So Mahoney, so your church out in Seattle. So is
in Nebraska.
that back to
Nebraska?
Yeah,
Seattle, Nebraska. There's a place.
Seattle,
the area is called.
Yeah. No, I get it confused. My brother's up in Seattle. I visit him from time to time, but most of my time's here. I don't want to say like exactly where. It rhymes with Snowmaha.
Oh, okay. Your brother was at the Hawks game the other day, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was gonna ask you, wherever you're at, man, is church back to normal, or is there still some restrictions?
For a while there, we had to you had to sign up, and I volunteered, and I had to guide people to their seats and stuff. So it's more normal now, where you can kind of sit wherever you want. They still have the front probably third of the church. They have people, if they want to be distanced, they have every other pew closed, but everything else is normal. You can sit wherever. You don't have to be worried about who you're sitting by or anything.
Oh, no Joe Tool running around. So I mean, sorry if she's watching this. Oh God.
So yeah, basically, I haven't been to the Catholic Church in a long time, since Matt and his fiance basically got kicked out of church one day for not wearing a mask, and I was like, all right, this is fucking stupid. But some of those, Kelly, what you missed, some of the scriptures and stuff I'm going to read from here. It's going to really blow your mind what it actually says about the government and things of that nature in the Bible. It's not really like the anti-vaxxers. What people always equate a lot of people that don't want to get the vaccination should be with Christianity and things of that nature, a big sector of them all. But there's not really a lot of biblical things to really back that up. I just want to go in and kind of go through some of these things. First, I want to talk about the actual Bibles itself to kind of preface this. There's no physical or archaeological, I can't even say that word right, sorry, evidence for Jesus existing in any documentation. This is an argument that a lot of people that are more atheists or whatever will make all the time. But after I research this more, if anybody comes up with that argument, it's not a bad argument. This is the argument Uncle Tony makes. There's no archaeological physical evidence of Jesus. But at that time, there's actually no physical evidence of anybody existing, to tell you the truth. So that's not really mind-blowing thing, especially if you were crucified on a cross. They probably took your bones and just like threw them away or whatever. So I don't think that's that mind-blowing. But this one's kind of interesting. So you talk about like the Gospels, like when you start citing these verses and stuff. There's before the Gospels, there's this one thing called the Christ myth theory, where they believe the story of Jesus is a piece of mythology, did not exist, had virtually nothing to do with founding Christianity. If you want to look that up, I'm not going to go on that today because it's not really too interesting. It's just that's just someone's opinion. It's kind of interesting. But anyways, the Gospels themselves were written a period of 40 years after the death of Jesus. So 40 years passed before anything was written at all. So then you sit there and think, well, how can we have accurate writings or whatever? So this is what they did back then is what they do a lot in native Alaska, where I was from, is they tell a story and the elders tell the story, and then the people that grow up throughout household just retell that story over and over through storytelling, verbal storytelling, and then they keep these stories alive through the storytelling. And then once written form comes where they can document everything, that's kind of how the story of the crucifixion of Jesus, everything regarding Jesus, the Bible, everything was based on stories that were passed on through. I mean, this 40 years is where they started writing the stories. So they passed on through decades, hundreds of years, these stories being told and retold. So, I mean, that's where it kind of stands out to you is like, well, as we all know, is like as kids growing up, you play that game, you whisper one thing into someone's ear, then you whisper another person's ear, another person's ear, another person's ear. And the time it hits that 10th person's ear, it's a little bit off kilter, you might say, a little bit. So I thought that was kind of interesting. What do you guys think of that so far?
Yeah. I just want to say about like the Bible and Christianity and religion in general, people get so freaking heated about it, like on either side. And it's like, settle down. Like, look, can we have a conversation? Question everything, and then they'll bring up something from the Bible and you'll say, well, that doesn't sound like that's what it says or whatever. Just question everything, and eventually people will get tongue tied and you'll realize they have no more answers than you do, no matter how much of a study they make it. So I just want to say, stop getting so fucking heated over arguing religion and stuff, because it really doesn't matter. There's so much content there. We could talk forever and ever and ever, and there's no reason to get angry about it. But anyways, your intro to that was interesting, and I think there'll be a lot more to talk about here.
Yeah. Any comments from anybody else so far?
So far, I would say my early blush is that COVID turned you into an atheist. So continue.
I think when you hear these stories, you have a picture in your head, like when you're sitting there listening to them in church or wherever, or someone reading them to you, or if you see them, you have this picture in your head of how it actually went down. But like you said, it's been passed down, blah, blah, blah. How do you actually know how it actually went down? You're just getting like the highlights, I guess, of.
Yeah, and I would add on to like the storytelling and stuff like that is that I've actually been researching the Bible for a while. Like I bought this book called Banned Books in the Bible. It has all the banned books from the Council of Nicene, the books they got rid of or whatever. And I just think it's interesting as heck. I think it's all super interesting to me. And for me personally, I don't like dislike honestly any religion. I mean, I don't dislike any religion or think any religion is necessarily wrong. I just think it's interesting how it all comes together, because all it is at the end of the day is a set of beliefs and things of that nature. The Bible, though, is the one, like Kelly said, people get so freaking heated over. It's the funnest one to kind of talk about, because it is kind of the main religion of, well, at least North American society, I'd say, for the most part. But anyways, going on, I'm gonna go one more thing here, then I'll get into some actual verses themselves I thought were interesting. Talk about the vaccine, because the vaccine debates, on and on. And this is one of the things that, what the fuck is going on over his house over there?
Mine?
Oh yeah, just something crashed.
Oh no, was that loud? I just threw a nail across the room.
Oh.
Just gotta show you, Mahomes. Look at this. There's a hole in my fucking wall over there.
Oh wow. Yeah, there is.
Things are coming along. Slowly but surely.
So, hey, Mahomes, there's a hole in my head. I'm just good.
So what do you think
Okay,
about
Pat, let me round this back up. Much like there was a hole in Christ's hands. Okay, back to you, Pat.
It's called stigmata, you blasphemous fuck.
Hey, I go to church all the time. I'm
Hey,
very much a believer. I feel like, there's no archaeological stuff, but man, they sure did change. Like, time is based off one person, like BC and AD. So I feel like there might be something there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
okay, well, this is my fucking Bible station. Shut the fuck up.
There we go. Not religion and politics, the things everyone tells you to talk about.
Hey, when God delivers 1 million views this episode, you'll thank me later when you're getting I'm gonna go to the Pope that said this earlier this summer. No, it was back in January actually of this year. I don't understand why some say no vaccines are dangerous. Some say no. Oh, he's talking about people that refuse the vaccine or don't want to get it or whatever. This is back in January, by the way. I don't understand why some say no, vaccines are dangerous. If it is presented by doctors as a thing that can go well, that has no special dangers, why not take it? There is a suicidal denial that I wouldn't know how to explain. So if you condense that down, basically he's saying he doesn't know why some don't want to get vaccinated because they think it's dangerous. So basically he didn't really actually do any research on what a vaccination is and doesn't understand that some people actually are allergic to vaccines and they can actually die from them. That is the possibility. And the second part is he's actually comparing people who don't want to get the vaccine as being suicidal. I think that's pretty fucked up. What do you think about that, Kelly? He's your Pope.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up Catholic. I mean, I'm still Catholic, but you grow up and you just go, okay, the Pope and he's infallible and all this shit. And then you just start to learn, like, there used to be corrupt popes all throughout history. Why are we special right now that we couldn't potentially have a corrupt Pope? I'm not saying that this one or the last one was corrupt or the one before that. I'm just saying there's a lot of strange shit going on, and I feel like the Pope is directly tied to world governments. I mean, he has to be. You have 2 billion Catholics in the world. That's a huge portion of the population. To touch in on that many people, you're going to have to be involved with the Catholic Church. So this Pope has done some very questionable shit, and I really don't know. I mean, I've read some really deep, weird shit about it. I'm sure Pat has too, but I don't know. I just, it's not the same as 10 years ago or when I was a little kid looking at the Pope thinking, okay, that is our leader. Sometimes it's like, is this guy just like fucking corrupt as shit? Because some of the things he does are questionable.
Yeah, what do you think? Anybody else?
I just going off what Kelly said, it's like, does everyone have to just in this day and age push the political narrative? You know what I'm saying? We all got to go towards that funnel of blah blah blah, what's wrong, what's right, when you're not even, when it's basically two separate things, where it's like that's all you hear. And even like the Pope and all the religions shifting towards that. Is that where we're actually going with this shit? You know what I'm saying? As a society, because it seems like with everything out there, it's becoming everything's political, and
Yeah. It is. Everything's political.
Yes, I'm a big, separation of church and state, man. Let me believe what I want to believe when I go to church, and my political aspirations or beliefs are pretty much nothing, as I've stated over and over and over. So
how much?
I don't want that shit to mix, man. I'm not interested in those two things being together, even though so many people are interested in making it together, and that's when it's kind of like, you can make a stat for anything you want. If someone's being shitty, they can handpick some Bible verse and say it completely out of context and be like, see, this totally rationalizes me being a pile of shit. So I'm not into it.
Hey, talk about church state. How much influence do you think the Catholic Church has over the state?
I mean, the United States, I don't know. I think it is, to Kelly's point, it is weird because and maybe it happened and I just wasn't paying any attention when I was younger. I just don't remember heads of nations meeting with the Pope as much as they have these last couple popes. And maybe John Paul was meeting with him, and I just, like I said, I was too young to care. But I just feel like that's something that maybe doesn't need to be televised, because that's not really a separation of church and state. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
It doesn't seem like they travel. It doesn't seem like they travel nearly as much as they used to. I admit that. Also seems like the world's kind of shifted so much to where it's like, okay, a couple nations pretty much run the entire world: the United States, China, and then I don't even know if there's a third country in there you can even throw on. Russia talks a bunch of shit or whatever, but I mean, come on.
I think the state has more power. It's either the state has more power over the church. Look at COVID, for example, or they're in bed together, which I think it's probably the second one, actually, because they speak the same language. And it's like, come on, you want to get up here and talk about faith and shit in church, and then we better wear masks, and well, this is such a deadly disease, and you're not even looking at statistics and all this shit, not to get Pat going on his statistical rant that Mahoney loves, but you want to sit up here and talk about faith. I'm like, do you know the definition of faith? Because it's not what you're doing. Like, you're scared shitless. Jesus
so basically
wouldn't be doing that.
I was just to say, basically, so you're saying like he's more of a spokesperson for this agenda than an actual genuine person.
Yes.
You can, that's what I feel too. It's like, okay, why are you pushing this agenda on us? Well, we're just looking for whatever, just a genuine person.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if this Pope was corrupt as shit, and that's how history saw this Pope, which is sad, because I loved Pope Francis when he first started. I was like, Pope Francis, my dad loved him, South American, and he's doing all these great things. And now all of a sudden he's starting to talk a language that sounds extremely political. That is not a Pope.
Well, here's another thing to consider too, and this is a theory that I was reading about today. Is a lot of people think that the Roman Empire is still alive through the church, and the reason they think that is because a lot of people, historians and things, believe that Christianity was started as the religion of the Roman Empire as another way to kind of influence people and stuff. So that's that I read that today, and that really blew my mind, is that like the Catholic Church actually is the Roman Empire today, which is really, really interesting. And we don't get enough time to go into that type of theory, but it's really kind of interesting to think about.
But look at this. None of us we haven't even been on this earth for 40 years. In the first 20 years, you don't know fucking shit. Actually, probably for the first 30 years, you don't know shit. We just started like knowing shit, learning shit, becoming wise. We have a long ways to go. We're not even 40 years on this earth. We don't even know what's going on. We don't know who controls this earth. We think we got the United States figured out. We got the president and the Congress and all that shit. But if you really watch, this world is controlled by a handful of families. And that's not even a conspiracy. It just is, and I don't know how to open people's eyes that your reality really isn't real,
Yeah, this is what we're stuck with right now, you know what I'm saying? For basically probably, I don't see it getting any better in our lifetime. It might, but
it's pretty fucking good though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I heard this comedian. Have you guys heard of Dan Soder? He's a stand-up comedian, and he had this little bit about how he can't believe that marijuana is still illegal. And he's like, for everyone out there who thinks marijuana is a drug, you probably think your vote for president matters. And I found that to be very funny.
Hey, just to wrap up this Pope segment, he said that
Pope segment.
He said that the Pope said if you didn't take the vaccine, you'd be suicidal. I got some breaking news for you guys tonight. Looks like he'll be suicidal pretty soon. For audience listeners out there, Newsmax are reporting the Vatican just said that Pope Francis is dying. They say they believe the Pontiff will not survive past 2022.
Okay, really, well that's shocking, but I hate articles like this, because guess what, motherfucker? And I just had this conversation with my wife last night. We're all dying. The second you were born, we're all dying. So I can't stand shit like that. Pope is dying. Well, of course he's fucking dying. He's 85 years old.
I mean, you're not
He's dying
wrong.
faster than us.
You could have started writing an article a month like that since the day he was named Pope. You know, like as soon as the different colored smoke goes up, like, oh, new Pope, then he's dying.
Are you talking about Scott Grazier?
Oh, that's why I can't stand like the save lives slogan. That's not like, you're talking about false information. You're promoting slogans that aren't fucking true. You can't technically save anybody's lives. Everybody dies. It's not like you get the vaccine, you wear a mask, and you live to be immortal. It's like the whole.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna upload my conscience into the Oculus. We'll see who's immortal or not.
Well, shit.
He might be right.
Did you see a billionaire? There's a billionaire guy that was actually, he was looking into that, uploading his consciousness into the fucking metaverse, which this guy probably has.
His dad.
Yeah, his dad. Oh, he's going to upload his dad, and then if his dad worked, he was going to upload himself.
Oh, so he's got his dad's the lab rat. That's interesting.
His dad's. I don't know how he's going to do it.
But is that actually going to that's not actually going to be you? That's not like if my grandpa died and then I upload his personality, whatever, in the metaverse, he doesn't actually exist, does he? Like, that didn't bring my grandfather back from the dead.
Well, the idea is, if say like Mahomes dies during this podcast, we upload him into the metaverse, that like next week he comes on just like himself, like no different. But
is that actually the real Mahoney is dead? Like, he doesn't have any consciousness, right?
Well, define consciousness.
Like, that's not actually Mahoney in the metaverse. It's just a simulation. It's just a character.
Well, yeah, that's what we all think.
So it's Mahoney to us, but he's not actually alive.
I don't know. Why don't we try to find out? No,
I mean, honestly, by the time we're old, hopefully we all live long, old lives. I wouldn't be surprised if we make it to 70 years old, if that shit's an option. Who knows, though? I mean, who knows what it's going to look like, to Kelly's point. Well, yeah, it could just be my personality is ones and zeros, and it doesn't mean anything to anyone at all.
Well, the other point is, like, not to go down that rabbit hole, but like, yeah, if you're still alive and you hook your brain up or whatever, and they load you into the metaverse, you're still physically here too at the same time. So, like,
answer me this: weren't we born to die, though? I mean, as far as we know, weren't we born to die? Like people never lived past 100 or 200 years ago, 30 or 40 years old. They were born to die, and now we're living till 80 and then maybe longer. But I mean, do you really want to fucking like if you could live 200 years or something, like the Bible, Moses and Jonah and all them lived 1,000 years. Do you really want to live that long?
What else am I gonna do? No.
It's like, I guess this is kind of goes back to religion. Like, it depends on what your view of religion and what your view of the afterlife and all that is. So I think if you don't, I'm super comfortable in my religion and beliefs. So I don't want to live forever because I believe that there's something better after. So if you don't believe in something, then yeah, you probably would have maybe more of a fear of death and would probably want to live as long as possible.
And maybe that goes back to the COVID thing, man, because so many people apparently are afraid to die. And like, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, man, I wish that I fucking had my 15-year-old body again. And I could go out there and play football and beat the shit out of myself and wake up the next day and do it again,
Well, don't you accept life in like stages? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like, oh my God, I don't want to hit 30 years old. Then once you're 30, you're like, okay, whatever. It's whatever. It's like, it's not like you're stopping it. It's like you kind of got to accept it as it comes.
I don't know. I'm kind of a mix because I wouldn't take anything over knowledge, and you get most of your knowledge from your experiences. So it's like, for me personally, if you were to tell me I lose all my knowledge and go back to when I was like 18, I was like, well, I think we're probably just going to repeat the exact same life. So why don't we just push forward for where we are right now?
Right. And I was just going to say that too, Pat, where like we are the smartest we've ever been in our entire lives right this second. But I don't know. For me, like the other night I just laid there and I just tried to like picture like playing in a football game. And it's like they say, these 4 years are going to go fast. And not just football, like theater or anything you do, it goes so fucking fast. And then you just look back and go, why didn't I enjoy that more?
Yeah.
It's probably because you're so wise right now. You're like, well, of course I'd enjoy it more if I had this brain, but I was fucking an idiot back then, you know?
Oh yeah, no kidding. No, yeah, I think all of us would approach a lot of things a lot differently. So let's move on to I'm going to go through some Bible verses here that are really interesting. So a lot of people that are like super anti-government or anti-vax or whatever you want to say, a lot of them are like super Christian religious. You see this all the time. They're the church going against the government and all these different things. Let's just go through the Bible and see what the Bible has to say about the government. Here is Romans 13:2. Let everyone be subject to the government authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against this authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. That's a pretty powerful statement supporting the government.
Yeah, that sounds like the government wrote that one.
I was going to say, did Caesar write that?
Hey, and Mahoney, it's funny you bring up Caesar, because one of my favorite quotes out of the Bible, which is weird, is give unto Caesar what is due unto Caesar. And I think Jesus might have said that, but give unto Caesar what's due unto Caesar. So whenever you're paying your taxes or paying your mortgage or whatever, just that's literally what Jesus said. I have no problem doing that in modern society. But yeah, Pat, that fucking quote sounds like the Catholic Church is deeply in bed with Ross Perot and Bill Clinton.
I was just say, who invited fucking Mike Freeze, man?
Isn't it funny though? I just talked about the Roman Empire using Christianity to kind of influence people and stuff, and yet that's from Romans, that verse about how the government that God sets up you should obey, or you'll pass judgment on yourself. So. But then you got other verses like Acts 5:29. But Peter and the apostles answered. Okay, they're not answering the previous quote, although it sounds like they are. But Peter and the apostles answered, "We must obey God rather than men." So do we say fuck the government now?
Yeah, it's all kind of twisted, for
And
reading that without knowing any prior knowledge. Be like, okay, what the fuck?
And then Jesus Christ himself rebelled against the government, and that's why he was crucified. The establishment, whatever you want to call it.
I think the Bible, much like life, is full of contradictions, though. You know what I mean? The more you look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Here's another one. Remind them to be submissive to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, and to be gentle and show perfect courtesy toward all people, but mainly to be submissive to rulers and authorities.
Give us the context, though. Is that Jesus saying that?
No, that's just a quote from Titus 3:1. It's just from Titus 3:1 in the Bible. Submissive.
The Bible's such a big book, and I mean, if you've ever read even like a few chapters, Mahoney just said it, it's full of contradictions, and it's hard to how do people even try to start to argue this or pretend like they know what the fuck it's about? Read it, talk about it, but there should never ever be argument or especially anger. Like, people get mad about it. I know. No, you fucking don't. That's like, you read the whole encyclopedia. No, you didn't.
Yeah. I hate how the people on Facebook too, like some person that's not even religious at all, they're having something go wrong in their life, and they'll just throw out this random ass Bible quote. Like, you fake motherfucker.
Dude, you heard I did fake motherfucker. I did this. I was on this atheist page once, and they had the funniest shit one day. And they're like, dude, try this. Go on Facebook and just make up a Bible quote out of nowhere and then quote it and everything. It's like, this is how stupid people are and how fake people are when it comes to like the Bible and stuff. Watch how many people just fucking like your post no matter what. You just made up a completely fake Bible verse. So I did that one day, and I had shitloads of likes.
Yeah, say, did you? So you have that picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And people share that, like, don't forget Jesus this Christmas season or something like that or whatever. But people share that are like, okay, they're totally taking this serious because I know this person. They don't joke like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how fucking naive, hilarious to all of us.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. Peter, 1 Peter 2:13. Not sure you're supposed to quote the Bible because I've never done it before. Be subject for the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether it be the emperor as supreme or to Dr. Fauci. Peter 2:13.
I remember that one.
I'm surprised that one hasn't been quoted more lately. No, I mean, both, Kelly and I have touched on it, but I think when you try to interpret the Bible, just look at how many different variations of Christianity there are. That's how easy it is to kind of, you have the same general idea, but then you have these different ways of doing things or different ways of interpreting what's written. I don't know. It's fascinating. I think.
So if Mahoney goes to the real JBs and has a religious quote battle, Bible battle there with our uncle, is that a thing? Would that happen down at the real JBs?
I mean, I don't know if it necessarily has to happen.
Is it like a rap battle?
Yeah, like we're the JBs we go on. Let's go play horseshoes down there. Okay, Bible verse time. Sit down.
I thought that's how it was.
So people that know, Junior Buzzards is a camping trip we do, an annual camping trip we do every single year, which involves a lot of drinking and literally no discussion of the Bible.
I think the Bible's fascinating, and I'll just say right now that I truly believe that there is a God. There's something out there. I don't think we're it right here, but the Bible just annoys me because humans have taken it and just tainted it. Like humans taint every fucking thing, and it's so annoying that we have to do that and twist it and turn it, and then, oh no, this is what that means. No, what fucking shut up. Like your great grandfather passed, like Pat said, pass that story down, and now you believe it, and now you're gonna argue and defriend someone, or even get in a fist fight over it. It's like, shut the fuck up. You really don't know what you're talking about, and neither do I. There's
this. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you were talking about this is how the smartest we're ever gonna be. We're all pretty fucking dumb too. So I think that's something to remember.
We're gonna be dumber. The rest of our lives will be dumber than we are smart. You know what I mean?
I just heard taint a couple times. So taint.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's the best point of this whole thing so far.
That's my favorite word of the night: tainted.
Yeah, I know, tainted. There's this talk about how storytelling gets so fucked up and misconstrued. There's a story people use an example is this girl, this daughter, she has her mom every Easter she comes in with this big baked hammer and she always cuts off the end of the ham, like the last third of the ham or whatever, and then puts it in the oven. They do it every single year. The daughter was finally like, well, why do you cut off that last third of the ham and you put it in the oven? She's like, oh, I don't know. That's what our grandma did. That's what my mom did ago. So then she asked her grandma, why do you cut off the last third of that ham and put it in the oven every single Easter? She's like, I don't know. That's what my grandma did. So then she finally reaches her great grandma and it goes down to her great great grandma. Finally get to her great great grandma. I was like, why do you cut off the end of that ham and put before you put it in the oven every Easter? She's like, well, because back then our oven wasn't big enough for the full ham. It's like the reasoning gets lost throughout time of the tradition.
Right. That's interesting. And I think about that all the time too. It's just like you wake up in the day and you feel like, you need to, and I think all four of us are better than most people at this, realizing this shit. But, I wake up and say, oh, I got to do this, or it's this day, so I got to do this, or this has to happen. And then I really sit back and I'm like, but fucking does it? Does this shit have to go this way? And the answer is no.
Unless it's garbage day, and they're not going to come on a different day, so you're going to need to put that out.
You know what I'm saying, though. To Pat's story, like the traditions and shit, it's like sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're really serious. The serious ones drive me nuts. I'm like, don't really think we necessarily have to, lick Grandpa's left testicle every
dude. I need your motivational tape. You're getting ready to go to work. You put your headphones on. Now, does this really have to happen today? The answer is fucking no.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Don't tempt me. Fucking no!
You just start making pizzas upside down, throwing them in people's face.
I don't believe in the law of gravity anymore.
All right. I want to go through some of my favorite quotes of all time from the Bible.
I'm sure these are going to be legit.
Wives, submit to your own husbands. Likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands. And this is my favorite one. Let a woman learn quietly with all submissiveness. I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain fucking quiet.
Now, I'm not sure if the F word's in the Bible. That might be
it's fornication.
The new Patrick version.
You know what's weird is that quote Pat just read. I think that's the one that they read at my wedding.
100%. It's a very common one at a wedding.
I started laughing with it. They first started reading it. I was like, "Oh shit, that's serious."
Well, you know what's funny is Marissa didn't care, and I was like, "Hey, we got to pick 2 readings." She goes, "Okay, 4." I was like, "4 what? 4D or whatever it was." I was like, "Oh God, yeah, this is gonna be a great one." Wives, submit to your husbands.
Wives, submit to your man's penis entering your anal cavity.
And again, I'm fairly certain that's not in the Bible for any listeners out there.
Let's say, wasn't that actual reading? Wasn't that actually like a couple weeks ago? Because I remember hearing that in church. It's like, oh shit, that was from Kelly's wedding.
If it was, I skipped church that day.
Yeah, you must have. Yeah, it was.
I think you did. I think you were too hungover to go.
But
Submission.
To Pat's point, if you read on from that, it also says, husbands, here's your job as well.
Oh fuck you! You're a woman beater.
No, I'd
Where does anybody listen to this shit anymore? We're like post-COVID. No one's even alive anymore. Testing. Fuck you, you're a woman beater.
You talk about taking what the fuck are we doing here?
What the fuck?
You talk about taking verses out of context or whatever, and you got one of our uncles, not going to mention him, he's probably not listening or find out about this. He once came back when he was on one of his Bible rants, and like he did exactly what you're talking about. Like it's like, no, women should submit to men. I was like, well, isn't there more to that? No, that's just it.
Like, yes, some context, man. That was written 2,000 years ago. Like,
and then we had this aunt that was like, I don't know, fucking every guy in the block or whatever, and he's like, no, it says in the Bible we need to take her out and she should be stoned. And he said that dead serious to me. I was like, but do we really need to do that?
And that's the problem with the Bible. Like, read the Bible. Everybody, and I think they say this, we all hear it. No, if you want to read the Bible, you got to go like this chapter, Genesis, and then John, and then you got to do the New Testament. It's like, no, read the fucking Bible. Sorry, from start to finish. Read the Bible from start to finish, because you're not going to make it past the 3rd goddamn chapter. And then, Mr. Tongue-Tied, let's talk about the Bible after the 3rd chapter. Don't give me all this shit that John said. You're just, oh no, read it like this. You're discounting, 85,000 years in the, Old Testament to talk about the 30 years Jesus lived.
Oh, what about the people that say, well, the Old Testament doesn't mean shit because the New Testament came out? Then why are we still reading the Old Testament?
Okay, and there probably is one, so I'll bite my tongue, but show me the quote where it says nothing in the Old Testament mattered because Jesus said so. If that's the case, why the fuck do we have the Old Testament?
No idea.
Why? Like, tell me why.
Well, I didn't expect you to turn into Tony Robbins today.
It's like, who has actually read the Bible start to finish?
I've tried. It's impossible.
I haven't tried whatsoever.
If you do it in order, it's not impossible, but it's very, very hard.
Yeah,
Bible,
tried.
No, what's weird is the Bible actually gives great advice on sex. Like, women want to be submissive.
Yeah, just say reading the Bible is like training for a marathon. Not gonna happen, man.
Google Bible advice on women and sex and stuff, and you're gonna find some interesting quotes. Then go home and try it later tonight.
Yeah, actually, the Bible has some pretty fucked up shit they say about sex. To tell you the truth.
Later tonight.
Yeah, but it says that because that's what women want. They want to submit to your penis going in their mouth.
But
I think we have officially gone off the rails here, folks.
Is that actually what women want, though? Like,
yes.
A woman reading the Bible might disagree.
What do you think? What do you think 50 Shades of Grey is? You ever watched 50 Shades of Grey? And then, like,
I don't think it's based on any biblical verses.
So it took the submissive verses out and they made a movie about it.
So walking with a Bible with my dick hanging out. Put this in your mouth. What it says. I think that's what he said.
Put this in your mouth. It's what it said.
I watched 50 Shades of Grey and like things got weird in the bed.
When you watch that? You watched that movie?
Yeah.
I've seen the trilogy.
Yeah. And after that, she wanted to do all kinds of shit. But most people, like, she's too afraid to be honest about it. So she won't say anything. That's not true.
Well, we appreciate you saying it for her.
Yes. Yes.
God, most women want you to dress like the guy off of People on Her Stairs with black leather and just be fucking.
I don't know. Well, I don't know how we got. I don't know how we landed on this particular thing, but I think it's really late and I'm ready to round the horses at this point.
I'll comment one thing on, and this comes from Uncle Tony as well. Women, I feel like when you're pursuing a mate or whatever as a male, you're always like, so, and we've talked about this before, you're always so aggressive out of the gates, and women obviously respond to that, that's how you land a mate. You're aggressive, and then eventually you back off, and it's like, okay, I'm the lion has been tamed or whatnot, and it's not that exciting anymore, but you always like land that, even if it's a one-night stand, it's because you are being aggressive out of the gates. And I know this has nothing to do with the Bible, or maybe it does according to Pat, but that is fucking true. That is true. Like women want an aggressive mate, and maybe we both do. Maybe both sexes do.
Women want you to tie them up and fuck them up. They've never been fucked before.
I got to tell you, and I feel really confident in saying this, that there hasn't been a podcast anywhere ever that has gone from quoting Bible verses to what you just said in less than 15 minutes. There's not a doubt in my mind that's never happened. So for the 3 people that made it this far, you are witnessing history.
Hey, Mahoney, oh, fuck you, you woman beater.
I know Matt's had. He's been a quote machine tonight.
It's those Bible quotes, man. They just get you going, I guess. Pat's Bible quotes.
Should do a movie. Should seriously do a movie on a guy that just cherry picks Bible verses out like this to do his relationships. No, I read the Bible. You need to submit to me now. Now get on your knees.
God, I think I know a person perfect for that, actually. Actually, a couple.
All right.
Let's maybe we should start rounding them Bible verses.
Let's round those Bible verses. I hope everybody learned a lot from the Bible tonight. That was the goal of tonight's podcast. Before we go to the Bible, I just want one last breaking news here really quick. Mike Lindell, My Pillow CEO, had a 96-hour election fraud live stream, and he had over Thanksgiving, a happy Thanksgiving. Now here's how the election was a complete fraud.
A thanks-a-thon from the My Pillow guy.
He extremely detailed run of his Supreme Court verdict. He repeatedly called out the Attorney General, complaining about their refusal to sign his SCOTUS complaint. He pulled ads from this is interesting. He pulled ads from the Salem Media, a network of conservative Christian radio stations. He said he pulled ads and said Salem Media could no longer sell My Pillow products going forward. That's because they refused to let him read texts on air that were he wanted to say about the election fraud. They didn't want him to do that, so he said you can't sell My Pillow anymore. I'm sure that's. Would you say it's a pretty good business decision there to tell people they can't sell your pillow?
I think this guy's got it dialed in, man. He's, this is the guy. I hope he runs for office soon because he sounds like he's. Oh, and he's got a book. I mean, yeah.
This book's been out for a while. I'll just to our audio audience of Mike Lindell's books. His book's called "What Are the Odds: From Crack Addict to COO to Back to Crack Addict."
And I think if you scroll up there, Pat, it says we can donate to his legal fund, and that's pretty cool.
Now? Could you, as we round the horse ceremonies, can you explain what exactly his legal fund is like defending?
Not a clue. Honest, no, I have no idea. I'm like, based on the fact that he was a crack addict and then sold pillows, I'm going to guess he probably took the idea from somebody and they're suing him. But I have no legal precedent to back that up. I wish him nothing but the best.
Mike Lindell.
What I will say, if you're starting with me to round the horses, that everyone here and everyone who listened to this needs to do like 15 Hail Marys before they go to bed tonight. That's what I'll say.
Matt, what's your final stigma here?
Stigmata going on here. I got a bunch of good Bible quotes. I will go to bed thinking about what we said tonight and say a Hail Mary or two, like Mahoney said. Good night.
Kelly, what's your final statement on tonight?
Another weird episode. That seems to be a tradition the last few weeks, but another weird episode. And don't be afraid, folks, to talk about the Bible or anything for that matter, because none of us know shit. Stop acting like Albert Einstein. Even he didn't know shit. And good night, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was a good night. Yeah, that was a lot of fun tonight. I think my last thing is to say is after all this, my biggest advice to everybody out there would be pick up a Bible and just cherry pick out your favorite verses out of there that just align with your beliefs and just do whatever. And if you really want to get a lot of sex, just make sure to have your woman submit to you, like 50 Shades of Grey style, right? That's everybody do it now.
Yeah. The Will Ferrell going on.
Oh, one announcement. We do have hot yoga at Cutler Brothers with Paul Chapman tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. He's the conductor.